What up, everyone? It's DJ Tippy Toes.
Are we continuing this?
We had an off-screen debate about fault in stepping people's feet, but I am DJ Nibis.
He's watering it down.
Watering it down. Sprinkle some salt.
We are gonna have a discussion about this, and you can record it if you want.
Yeah, we'll get into our life's details another time. But here we are talking about our latest Blu-ray DVD hauls, as well as a little bit of the late actor Julian, who recently passed away. His remains were found after being missing for a while.
That's crazy.
That's really crazy.
I mean, what was it, January?
Yeah, it's been a while. They knew he was hiking somewhere, and they reported him missing, but it was kind of like everything just went quiet. Like, I don't even know if I didn't follow up on anything recent about like how he was found. I don't know if it was a random person or if they just happened to come across it, but like it didn't sound like they were searching for him anymore.
No, I think what you were saying yesterday, it was snowing when he went missing, so they had to wait a while. And now that in the area where they are, that it's getting warmer, and the snow is gone, they're probably able to just they found remains, and at this point the remains are.
Well, we'll touch on that a little bit later, a little bit more about his career and who he was and all that good stuff. But I managed to get like 3 Blu-rays that came in. One was actually given to me by that samurai guy as a giveaway.
Now, do any of those have Julian Sands in it, or these are just some random things that you picked up?
Yeah, random things. The first thing we're going to talk about is a new Donnie Yen movie called Sakura.
Ooh.
And Samurai was giving away like 2 or 3 DVDs that night, or Blu-rays, and said, put your name in if you want a copy of this. I think it was this and one other one. I thought this was.
Got picked?
Well, yeah, and this is the one I was more interested in as martial arts fan.
So tell me about Sakura.
So it's directed by Kaiwai Cam and Donnie Yen. They both share director duties on this. Cast is Donnie, of course, Yukui Chen, and Saya Lu. The plot is, when a respectful martial artist accused of killing him, he goes around in search of answers about his own mysterious origin story and the unknown enemies working to destroy him. And judging by some of the, the backdrops and everything, this looks like one of the very old school samurai martial arts.
Origin, find out revenge stories.
Right.
We love those, especially the older 70s. I mean, our favorite is the end.
Yeah. The end. It's like, it's for that.
The end. And then the credits roll. That's one thing that DJ Anubis and I have bonded over the last 21 years. When we first started dating.
You like Kung Fu?
We, I think I've mentioned this a million times, but I've always been kind of like an insomniac, and it really doesn't help that I have to get up at 5 a.m. for my job. And I was like this in high school. I was like this, throughout. I just cannot fall asleep until late into the evening. And Kung Fu movies and martial arts movies were always on later in the evening, because when we were kids and teenagers, there just weren't streaming services. There was TV was it. And some people had more channels than others, and just depended on whatever cable package, etc. But you could always rely on Godzilla and martial arts movies late into the evening, and that is one of the most beautiful bonding moments between the two of us. Is even if we don't care for the story, we appreciate the fight choreography and the work that people put into into what anything that is done, because these are real fighters, they're actual martial artists, and for them to be able to have that kind of control and that style and poise to be able to show what they're capable of doing without actually breaking someone's jaw when they're kicking them in the head is kind of amazing. And that's one thing I always respect about, even if the movie is corny or if the movie is just not my favorite, you watch the way that they fight. You know, some people have really quick hands. Sometimes people are a little bit more fluid. And what I'm really loving now with some of the newer martial artists, it seems like they're kind of getting back into that old school. It's the quick-handed, but then because we have a lot more capabilities with, you know, our camera work, you kind of get like that whole like 360 while it's happening. So you're not just getting like the one side and all the like and all the cool noises. You're getting this really complete view of what the fight is.
Right.
And again, they're actors and martial artists, and they're able to portray this without like really hurting. I'm sure there is accidents. I'm sure people have hurt themselves, but these are people who have trained for years and years, and it's amazing. All right, sorry. Go
That's
ahead.
all right.
Off my pole.
I mean, we're pretty big fans of Donnie Yen. I mean, the Ip Man films are great. The first two are amazing, and you know, we've talked a little bit on my greatest top 50 of the new century, and you know, Ip Man 1 and 2 made that list. So Donnie Yen's a great fighter, and we're gonna actually check out the trailer for Sakura here.
Oh.
I do have trailers for all 3 DVDs we have, or Blu-rays, and
I got the wrong glasses on now, so go ahead.
Here we go with Sakura.
I'll just sit back.
我唔係英雄，我只係一個堅守正道嘅平凡人。中朝江山岌岌可危。馬副幫主尋晚被奸人所害，有人指證係你做嘅，我一定會查明真相。
Oh, cool.
我殺恩師，話我殺父母。江湖上人人都話佢十惡不赦，
Oh,
我絕不
yeah,
退縮。
that was cool. Oh,
嘅盡力為願。
心協力，定能鏟除喬峰。
oh. Oh.
如果你唔歸順嘅話，我就要你死喺呢度。今晚我就要同佢你個了斷。
Oh, that's a little Jackie Chan right there.
Little drunken master there.
Oh.
Yeah, that looks great. Like there's some moments, especially when we saw at the beginning with the fire and the wind. Like it reminds me of the Storm Riders a little bit. That's one of my favorite movies in martial arts, where they manipulate
The elements.
and that was really cool. That was cool. That looks really good. Yeah, and of course that had a little nice thing, like make Ip Man look like a schoolyard scuffle.
And that's exactly what I was kind of saying. You got the quick hands, you know, style really coming back. You see that, but they're also adding in so much style with the weapons. But now that we have so much more technology, so many more cameras, you're getting this view. You feel more immersed. Excuse me, because we've seen, you know, ancient Chinese movies. and it seems so two-dimensional compared to what we saw in this trailer. Like, I mean, really, it's night and day. You've got the overhead cameras and stuff.
Yeah. Looks great.
I'm in. I'm all in.
Great.
We got the Blu-ray, so.
So the next couple movies, I basically, if you don't know, for those watching, I follow Aaron Penn of Cult of Cinema, and he constantly has content that is about his knowledge about movies in general. It's like,
and Vinegar Syndrome.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But he has all this knowledge about movies that just surpasses anything that I know of online. Like, it's just, he's crazy good. Nicest guy in the world. I've done a few things with him online on his own channel. But he follows like Severin videos. Like, whenever Severin or Vinegar Syndrome has like sales, he's on there talking about them, what they bring. He goes in depth with his fans and his followers. And so when Vinegar Syndrome was having a sale, I was like, well, let me go see what they got and see if there's anything,
anything interesting
that I want to pick up. Now, here's the thing. These three films, I've not seen anything. I have not seen them before. So despite the first one by Samurai, the two that I picked up, I've never seen. So it's like a blind buy. But they looked interesting. Nice little plots. And, of course, they look kind of lovely with their cover.
And I follow the Vinegar Syndrome Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that is there's a lot of people similar to Aaron who they're just really deep into this, and they'll say, Vinegar Syndrome has like 12 of these left and so many of these left. And
that's the interesting thing, because
and these are things that like Vinegar Syndrome will buy and repress and reprint them because they haven't been distributed in a while. Yeah. And is that the same case with those two movies, or are they newer?
Well, both are older. One is from 1986. The other one that I'm going to talk about now is from 1973. But you're right. They do have limited runs of these. So, like, once they're done, they're kind of done. I don't think they really ever bring them back. So that's why it becomes such a big thing with moviegoers and movie collectors, because it's like, oh shit, I got to get on this.
I got to get this. There's only, so many left.
They actually did a limited run on their version of Roadhouse. I don't think I ever picked it up, but like that, they do things like that with like familiar movies.
When it's out of print and when they stop, selling the Blu-rays and DVDs, if they have the access to it, they will resell it at, and sometimes it works out great for them. And they usually have quarterly, I guess, sales, and they also do the halfway through the year,
Black Friday
and halfway to Black Friday.
So the next one I've got is a movie called Sugar Cookies from 1973, directed by Theodore Gershoni. The cast is George Shannon, Mary Woronov, and Lynn Lowry. Now, Lynn Lowry, if you see the picture here, she also appeared in the original version of The Crazies, which is one of Neko and I's favorite movies. Both that and the remake are pretty good. But this is Sugar Cookies. This is like the slipcover, which I really enjoyed.
I like that.
And then like the original, or at least somewhat original artwork, is that one there. And the plot is a film producer murders his star actress during an erotic game and makes it look like suicide. The dead girl's lesbian lover discovers what happened and plots her revenge. So yeah, basically it's like a murder mystery, which I find to be fascinating. I know a lot of times, like with horror or just in general, Neko kind of likes the mystery thrillers a little bit more.
And also, this is like, it's erotic, it's risque, it's the 70s.
Exactly.
This is like a big deal.
It's what they were calling like sort of like a softcore movie. I don't know if that means the sex is sort of like Skinamax or not, but
where you get some like boobs and
you'll get boobs.
Couple of boobs.
Yeah, you're gonna
get a little ass grab. Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to work in our
any full bush maybe, or is that too
That I don't know, but we're gonna check out the trailer for Sugar Cookies. Roma. Wait.
Alta's death was a tragedy.
Why did she kill herself?
Meet
Scarf.
the sugar cookies.
Have the police called you? I want to play with you. I'm bored.
These are the beautiful people who live and die in a freaky, try-anything world.
Pow, you
These are the sugar cookies who live in a pleasure garden of forbidden delights.
No, I can't.
She was so free and alive.
Every once in a while, a movie comes along that stuns the senses with its daring and excitement. Boldly filmed, candidly portrayed. Definitely for adults with a taste for the unconventional, the bizarre.
She had everything to live for.
A different kind of film. Soft, sweet, satisfying.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
When was this released?
73.
Okay. This was probably released in one of those other theaters.
I don't know because it's not. I mean, it would tell because we are gonna end up watching these at some point and reviewing them, but like I don't know if there's actually hard enough sex scenes in
Yeah,
this.
but there is full frontal.
Well, that's not uncommon though because of the grindcore or grindhouse.
No, I get that, but what
scene.
I'm thinking though is it was a long time before there was any kind of actual like movie ratings, right?
Yeah.
And it was either you went into the other movie place or late night at the drive-in, and then the rest were at the regular movies. I'm wondering, because we see this a lot where some of these older movies that we discover now, and we're like, this was definitely, an other movie, a late night movie, a at the drive-in at midnight movie. And I'm guessing that's what this was, not because it's, hardcore sex, but there was no ratings before. And it's like any kid could go and watch this.
Well, yeah, this is a lot like a lot of the horror films that we've seen or other films like I've seen, I've showed you before. Definitely Grindhouse. This was like if you ever had drive-ins, like some people would take their families to watch like a cartoon.
Yeah, they have like family early times,
and then
like
you
take the kids
right.
away, or they have family night.
Right.
And then drive-ins would be,
because a lot of times people who bring, like, let's say they're going to watch Ice Age, well, they're going to go to that 7:00 showing, watch that, and maybe watch like the next one, which is.
And the kids are asleep by that point. So
either asleep or they're just going to leave. Like they may not stay up for this, but a lot of young 20-somethings would be watching films like this late at night. They used to play Night of the Living Dead a lot, which they considered risque back then. So, yeah, it would fit in that category.
Well, I think like the 80s really hit hard with the motion picture ratings, and they didn't even really have like a PG-13 rating for a while. I can't remember when that started, but I remember like Beetlejuice is rated PG, but it has an F word and a crotch grab. Nice fucking model. Like that is something that you wouldn't put in a PG movie because PG movies are like
yeah, they kind of it seemed like
Lassie.
they teetered on the line a lot because I remember Dreamscape when it came out in like 83, 84. That was like the first PG-13 film. I felt like I was like super important because I can get into a PG-13 film, and that was one of the earliest ones they had. So like by the time they got to Beetlejuice was like 87 or 88. Like you still had some of that stuff, but they weren't PG-13.
No, it wasn't
so-
PG-13. It was rated PG.
Right.
My first PG-13 film that I went to in the theaters, because my family was very fast and loose about, I watched things I probably should not have as a child, rated R. Like, I'm not talking like, these are like horror movies and stuff I remember watching. But it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I went to the movies with my sister and I let it slip that it was PG-13 as my dad's dropping us off. And he's like, what? PG-13? And I'm like,
It should be noted that, I was able to get Neko in to see Freddy versus Jason as rated R, because I was old enough.
he was old enough to take me in. They, they wanted to make sure that I was old enough to see it. So
I
they
still was
charged
like
me.
so baffled. Like, it didn't really click with me because, like, I'm like, well, how come you're not checking her ideas? Like, well, you're old enough. I'm like, oh, and she's like, thanks, Dad.
So if you guys haven't heard, he is about 11 years older than me. And when we first started dating, I was 21 and he was 32.
Yeah, there's no pedophilia here.
No. We were both way over the age, but I feel like because I'm a smaller person, I'm very short. So when you're a short person and
Well, it was
you're
just,
already young,
yeah, it was just weird because, like,
I mean, I'm not tall at
the
all.
person behind the desk was doing their job, which is fine. They were, on top of it. I just wasn't thinking in that.
I mean,
line.
he's old enough to be my guardian, so they just wanted to make sure that he's allowed to take me into these R-rated movies. But I think that's what happens to me a lot, even now, even though I'm old as fuck. Sometimes people will, especially if I like have my sunglasses on or something. I'm very short, so they're thinking there's a short lady or a short kid, and then I turn around, they're like, old ass. But I got that a lot when I was younger, in my early 20s, and did I tell you I got carded the other day at the liquor store?
No, but that's funny.
I was so excited.
I
Yeah.
should know. I didn't bring another DVD that I got Blu-ray.
Where is it?
It's upstairs. It's a Velvet Goldmine that we're gonna end up reviewing at some point.
I thought you showed that already.
I might have shown it on video. I don't remember, but that's one we have to do a review for. Right? So I have to show you that film. But anyway, continue with your story.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, like, I think that's what ends up happening to short people like me a lot when because he's also very tall. He's a foot taller than me. So you have this very tall man who looks like an adult man, and me, I always thought I looked my age, but apparently I looked like a child. So,
Well, that's actually a good sign, though, just in terms of youth, because the more that you look younger, the more they're going to card you. That's when they say, okay, you're good. That's when you know it's
you're
bad.
good.
I'm getting to that point now where they're like, look at the gray, and they're just like, yeah, you're good. We know you're good.
Or you go someplace so often that the waitress and bartender know you, and they're
They
like,
know
"Hey
your
girls!"
name, like Cheers.
Yeah, hey girls, hey. You don't have to even show your ID anymore because you're just drinking all the margaritas.
All right, so on to
So what's
our
the next one?
third
Sorry.
film. That's all right. Another one from Vinegar. This is called Nightmare Weekend. And again, another one that sounds just kind of
Tilt it
interesting.
down just a pinch.
Yeah, it's
There you
kind
go.
of got the glare with this
Yeah, you haven't opened them
cellophane
yet.
on it. Nope. It's a 1986 film directed by Henry Sala. Cast as Debbie Laster, Dale Midkiff. He sounds familiar, but I'm not really sure from where. Deborah Hunter. And then the plot is a female scientist performs experiments on 3 college girls that turn them into drooling, murderous mutants. I believe this is another trauma film too, so that's the kind of funny
Do you have the
trailer.
yeah,
Yes.
it's all queued up.
Yep, we're gonna get ready to check that
I love
out.
these old trailers because the trailer business didn't turn into this like multi-million-dollar business until like the late 90s. You look at these older trailers and it's just like, here's the movie.
Oh yeah, like some of them are so bad that they just take a scene from the movie and just put it in there. Usually it's like the opening scene, like that's your trailer.
That's the trailer.
That's what's selling me here. I don't know.
But nowadays, like when you see trailers, it's like all these cuts. I mean, look at the Marvel trailers. Look at anything anymore. And I really think it was like the mid to late 90s when they really started turning trailers into this business.
Yeah, it's all about musical choices. Like I think of, despite the fact that you and I were not that happy about Love and War with Thor, the trailer with Guns N' Roses, I think was amazing.
I mean, I definitely did not hate Love and War.
I
liked it.
It's just
I'm an easy person to please, especially when it comes to like.
It's just when you already had all the good shit before, you're kind of like, eh.
We came out of it liking it. We really did, and I think maybe because we've had time to
think on it more.
Yeah, sit on it. I still like it because
there's some good things
I
in
love
it,
Thor.
but they did screw up some other aspects of it, which it happens.
I think the big thing was they had this very serious villain. I know we're going on a tangent. It's what we always do, but there was this very serious villain.
My boyfriend,
His
Christian
boyfriend,
Bale.
Christian Bale. My boyfriend, Hemsworth, was so funny.
Yeah.
Thor was a comedy, but then
And that's really the kind of thing, because we had seen, if you saw our review for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, there was a great balance of comedy and drama. And it was really, Guardians 3 was actually more sad than funny. And I think Thor should have been that way, because despite the fact that you always want to end on a high note.
But there was a lot of sad shit going on in that Thor movie.
Right. And so
I mean, we're talking about like people dying kind of stuff. And then you have this very serious, very polished Christian Bale villain, which is a complete contrast of goofy ass Thor. And I think if they would have dialed it back a little bit.
Yeah, I think the ending was good. It matched what they were doing, because that's sort of what you wanted. But it just getting there was like tough, because they were trying to throw in way so many comedy bits with Russell Crowe's Zeus and all this other stuff. And it's like,
it seemed like it was two movies being mashed into one.
Right. But anyway, let's check out Nightmare Weekend.
Because I cannot wait for this trailer. I could watch. We've done that before. We've just sat and watched old trailers.
Yeah, it's fun. Definitely fun, man. It's fun.
Oh, here we go. The same intro music.
Is it not playing?
No, it says sugar cookies.
Oh, okay.
Get it out of there.
Sorry.
Get out of there.
My bad.
I need Nightmare Weekend. That's why I was like,
we got it. We're good.
He said,
We're good. All right. Now we're good.
Ooh. Same movie. Same music.
They're a little crackling.
You are about to enter the 21st century of terror.
It's the same dude.
Nightmare Weekend. When computer technology goes mad.
Now you're gonna die! Die!
High-tech action gets out of control.
Oh, she got drenched. Oh. Ooh.
There's a Nightmare Weekend song. Do you hear that playing in the background?
Nightmare Weekend. A group of college students were invited to spend a pleasure weekend in a mansion. But instead experienced a nightmare weekend.
We can't say Nightmare Weekend.
Nightmare Weekend.
Oh, I hope that thing bites her.
That's a Mexican.
The first high-tech terror film.
First high-tech.
Oh, this is going to be glorious.
This is going to be... Oh, yeah!
Experiment so frightening that it will never leave your mind.
Die!
Experience a lust for power so gruesome that you may lose your mind.
What is he choking himself
Nightmare
with the sock?
Weekend.
And then
When
they're fucking on the
horrifying
porch.
humans
Oh, hey.
team up with murderous machines. Nightmare Weekend. When modern technology gets out of human control, the action never stops.
You've got
Nightmare Weekend. It's the first high-tech terror film.
We've heard that already.
Nightmare Weekend. The 21st century of terror.
Okay, that looks beautiful.
That, I think,
That looks beautiful.
some college students.
I mean,
who
he
look
just
like they're
couldn't.
45.
He couldn't work that Nightmare Weekend enough, man. Nightmare Weekend.
You heard the music in the background.
Mhm.
It's a nightmare weekend. This is going to be the best movie I've ever seen. I can guarantee it. I give this already 10 stars.
Oh God, that looks great.
Oh my God.
All right,
So what made you buy this?
again, just actually it was a still, like the one still in the shadows where she has the machete. Like it's just reading the plot, and just taking a chance. Like it's really that's what it comes down to now.
So we're talking about remakes here. Earlier, what if somebody went through all these old like out of print movies and said, I feel like I'm going to remake Nightmare Weekend? How do you think it would go? Do you think it would lose its like campy allure?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
do you think someone could turn it into an actual horror movie? Because yes, it is terrifying. There's someone like, this is 83, right? Let's think about 2023, 40 years
it's the
later.
same problem that.
But what if they did something, you saw her at the control panel and stuff. Think of 83 technology versus what we have like at our fingertips right now.
Mhm.
They could take so many things. Like everybody has security cameras now. Everybody has Ring cameras. They could really turn it into something actually scary. And this could be remembered for the camp. And I'm wondering if anybody has ever really thought about that and really tried, because it has a good premise. You've got people, it's
most
a trope.
horror movies do, but like, it's the same problem that like Suspiria ran into. So you and I definitely enjoyed the newer one a little bit for certain aspects that it was doing. But it will never live up to most of us who grew up with Argento's original. So this is kind of saying
Argento's wasn't campy.
No, but
Or it was still a really good movie. I'm talking about something like this where they had a low budget.
But we see it all the time.
It was the 3:00 movie on Sunday, and it was just like a cheapy thing. I'm wondering if somebody actually gave it the budget and gave it like a story rewrite that would put it more modern. And
it could be done, but I think that the problem that you run into is who wants to do it. Like who would want to tackle that? But you would still run into the same problem where original fans of this film were like, nah, they just don't want it, because like it's sort of like
this is old enough that and not known enough that it could slide. I could see this being a very
I think that
scary.
if they did it,
it's almost like it has like a Scream element to it. You got a bunch of people in a fucking house all weekend, and someone's the killer, and now they're throwing in, it's the first technological killer ever. Okay, we've got lots more technology 40 years later. I'll beat you with a cattle prod or some shit. Like we could and we could throw some Saw in there.
Yeah. I mean, they could do a lot of things with it. It's just, again, you have to find a director that wants to do that. And then they'd probably rename it to something else, a little bit more.
No, I like Nightmare Weekend, and you have to use that song as well. Nightmare Weekends.
All right.
Shit, that was amazing. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, that's going to be a blast. Maybe we'll work that in this weekend.
This is the Nightmare Weekend. So, out of all of those, I really want to, clearly, I wanted to see the Donnie Yen movie, but I hate that Nightmare Weekend just came in and
shaboom! Lay down the boom!
Because this had a budget of what? $100,000.
It's Trauma. I mean, well, I can't say it's Trauma because I think Trauma had a certain amount of films they put up, but they bought a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And Coffin's been doing movies for a while, so I don't know if they just bought the rights to a lot of this stuff and then they re-released it under their.
Well, that's what happens a lot with Trauma and with Vinegar Syndrome when stuff is like out of print and all.
But it doesn't matter what order we watch these in. Like we can watch them anytime. There's 4 films we've got on deck, so like I do want to get to start reviewing them and stuff.
That's all we're doing this weekend. Watching movies.
Now,
I'm kind of okay with that too. Like I'm kind of feeling a little low key because we're going to be having a very busy. Not next week, but the week after, we've got our trip to Chicago for G-Fest. And then after that, I have some breaking news with possibly a new career. We don't know. We're not going to jinx it. So.
But now we're going to talk a little bit about Julian Sands again.
Gosh, yes.
Like I said, he was a great actor. He was a British actor who starred in films like The Killing Fields, Gothic, Warlock 1 and 2, Arachnophobia, Naked Lunch.
He was in Warlock.
Yeah, I told you he's
Oh
the
my
Warlock.
God, I forgot.
The Phantom of the Opera, and of course Naked Lunch, which is one of Stefan's favorite films.
That movie is so gross.
And of course, I said Arachnophobia, which is being remade as we speak. It's going to be a new remake reboot.
Is it a reboot or a remake, or is it a reimagination?
Remake. Yeah, they're going with the name and everything, so it's a remake.
But some things that they remake, like Mortal Kombat, is a whole new story.
Well, I mean, it's gonna have some different things.
That's why. So, like, this is why I'm saying reboot, remake, or like reimagination.
The funny thing is, remakes and reboots are the same thing because they're just basically it hasn't been done in a while. Like the first one's still out there, so now they're remaking it, but it's also a reboot because it's rebooting that particular movie. One thing about Sands is he was very good at playing villains.
It was great with the Warlock. Wow,
same thing with like guys like Alan Rickman. They just had a knack for playing villains very well.
And I heard like people who have spoken about Julian Sands. He's just like
nicest guy,
nice, kind man.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, he's the Warlock, you know. And it was a pretty intense. If you've ever seen Warlock 1 and 2, it was a pretty intense, movies. But yeah, everything I've read about, because I've read a few articles recently, and they've been more about like remembering him from close friends and family. And I know people don't ever want to speak ill of the dead, but everything people are saying about this man has been nothing but kindness. And he was an amazing actor, and he had this catalog of movies and titles, and he just had such a range. And I think sometimes too, like,
yeah, they said another movie was, and I never saw it, but I remember hearing the name was A Room with a View. I just never saw that particular film.
I think I've seen that movie.
But Gothic was one like a late 80s film that was sort of, I believe it was based off Mary Shelley's career before she wrote Frankenstein. I can't remember the details. I remember seeing it though, and I remember seeing the poster art for it, and I was always kind of scary. But it's more just Gothic atmosphere, but he was in that, and just a really, really good actor.
He's good at taking his character,
Mm-hmm.
And really bringing it to the screen. Like, that's why he's great at being a villain. Like,
and that's the thing.
I don't think he's like, I want to be an evil person. He's like, oh, this is who I am. I'm going to put this all out there.
Yeah, that's what the actor's job is to do, is to put everything into that role and everything. And he was very good at that. And I know that his death has affected a lot of movie fans across the world. And we just lost Treat Williams like just 2 or 3 weeks prior to that. So it's like these guys that we've grown up with. That's the thing about being old now at my age. Like, I'm watching a lot of like heroes and people that like I really love on film and in music just passing away. And it's like, why do we have to pass away? Why can't we live to be 200? Well, I mean,
that's the one beautiful thing about being an actor. You're immortalized with your trade.
Yeah.
So you know that you are always going to have this as a memory, because we as fans appreciate what they've brought into their career. Funny, this is crazy. Today I was working with some of my coworkers, and for whatever reason we had like Mary Poppins, the Disney movie, on our brain, and that is from the 60s. It's quite old movie, but we just started singing like, all this, silly songs and talking about it. And I just wanted to look up if Julie Andrews was still alive. Yes, she's in her 80s. You know who else is still alive? Dick Van Dyke.
Mm-hmm.
He's like almost 100.
Yeah, it's and
I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, well, I guess it makes sense. That was the 60s and this is 2023. So
yeah. But that's what we got for you today, folks.
oh, thank you so much for joining us. We're super stoked for these movies.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We love doing these reveals and stuff that we get. I continue. Severan's getting ready to do a sale. I'll probably poke around there.
Oh God, no, we can't have any. Go done. No.
Well, I have to just peruse
he
it.
has to just,
But if I find something, I have to have. But
I often like that book over here that comes out. It's from Movies Unlimited, and that's why I save it for you. It's harder for me to like go through a catalog.
Well, those I've actually peeked in those, and unfortunately they are kind of expensive. So that's why I wait for the sales.
I was gonna say that's another place too, where they have things that are sometimes out of print that they reprint.
Right.
So I mean they have regular things too. I don't know, like Mrs. Doubtfire or whatever, but.
There's always nice things that come out. I know I bought that Bridget Leahy thing.
That was cool.
That was really awesome.
Cool. It was you got
like a little poster signed.
It was signed. The actual book was signed, I thought too. And how many DVDs did it come with?
It was like a couple of DVDs, stuff that's not easy to find.
And it had a really cool documentary in it that we watched, which I found really fascinating about her. Like she was all about like just being out there and open and trying to make this, because she was naked, she was a porn star, she wanted it though to
but
be
she's one like the most
more normalized,
most successful at doing crossover to mainstream. Like I didn't even, like I said, when I discovered that she was doing porn, it was by accident. Like it was like I'd already seen her in a bunch of films like Grapes of Wrath or Grapes of Death and Fascination and stuff like this from Gene Roland. So like by the time I saw the porn stuff, I'm like, man, she looks a lot like the chick in the other films, and found out that she was indeed the same.
Surprise!
Yeah,
it's her.
Surprise! 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 She's actually.
I just appreciate her because she's not like.
Well, she doesn't wear it as a badge of shame.
Exactly.
She's very proud of it. She's very honest about sexuality, and she's taking heat over the. We talked about it one time ago about her backlash against certain things about rape, and she's like, she wasn't saying that rape's great. She was just saying that it's possible for a woman to have an orgasm because it's uncontrollable.
I remember that she did get a lot of backlash, and she was literally, and it's actually been scientifically proven. Like she was just making a statement saying,
right,
women can have orgasms during rape, but then everybody got really angry thinking that she was saying that women enjoyed being raped, and that she's like, no, I'm just literally saying it has been scientifically proven that your body will react in a certain way.
And that's sort of what adds to the shame of rape, because you feel bad that you had an orgasm during a very traumatic moment. And that's basically all she was getting at, and they were trying to twist it into something crazy.
And that's another thing that I actually kind of really respect her. She was standing her ground. She didn't come out and make some like apology tour either. She was like, I'm not saying anything negative. I'm not saying anything bad or wrong. I'm literally telling you, I'm reading the facts about what is going on with women when they get raped. And as DJ Anubis said, because of the potential to have an orgasm during rape, the women are starting to feel more shame. And, well, not more shame, just like shame in general. Like, and then they feel bad. And then that's sometimes why like stuff goes unreported or people don't believe them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just find her a fascinating woman.
But that's the thing about these companies like Vinegar Syndrome, Umbrella, Severin. They do this where they bring stuff that hasn't been in print, or they redo it to the point that it's now a Blu-ray and has nice slip covers and stuff. So,
or that documentary itself. I don't even know where that documentary came from. It's not available anymore. I mean, I'm sure if you really dug deep on the internet, you could find it, but these are super interesting things. And when you have like behind the scenes stuff, it was nice to see. And it wasn't cheap, but it was definitely worth it because it was a huge bundle.
Easy payments.
Oh my God, I forgot it was 4 easy payments.
But thank you all again for checking out this video.
Yeah.
Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.
Give
Got
us
any
some
comments about
comments.
this? Yeah.
You know, if you want to see Nightmare Weekend.
Nightmare Weekend.
And a Nightmare Weekend. Look at that giant satellite dish in my front yard. If you want to watch Nightmare Weekend with us in live stream, let us know, because that could be fun.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that would be fun. Us watching Nightmare Weekend, and we all...
Get Samurai to do it, because he does those like Patreon things behind the scenes where they'll watch a film and talk about it. So I'll
That
see
would
what
be
he
fun.
says, because I'm part of that group. So
Are you really?
All right, all. Take care. Keep it metal, and we'll talk at you later.
Big boy.